Hello and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. There's more to this world than most think or believe. Mysteries that stretch back into murky epochs of time that hint of other realms, other worlds, and other intelligences. We're on this journey together. With each episode, we will peel away the layers to look for the truth. Egypt is a land of many mysteries that date back to ancient times, and to this day, discoveries are being made which challenge established theories and notions regarding how long civilization existed in those lands. From the Sphinx, which appears to predate the classical Egyptian dynastic period, to the pyramids, which present so many mysteries, yet demand respect from all who observe them. We have a lot to cover today with this immense subject. So let me bring in my new co host, Puck, the Puckwudgie, and of course, Jimmy of Faded Black Radio. Jimmy, how's it going? Tell me.
Huck.
This is our new co host. Hopefully, you guys can get along, but I was pretty excited
Huck?
to bring him in.
Yeah, he's pretty. It was so funny when he sent me. Cristina sent me a picture. She goes, "Look, check. Guess what his name is?" And I said, "Get out of my sandwich. Get out of my no." That is one of the funniest. Hello, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? Let's get that out of the way. It's good to be here with you again, Cristina. That was one of the funniest videos. I watched it over and over and over and over.
To give people a little bit of context, he's referring to a TikTok that I posted, I think a few weeks ago now. I ended up posting it also on my Twitter, I believe. No, on Facebook. And it's doing a lip sync. And there's just one thing that was really trending. And it's like, hey, get out of my sandwich. And then you say no. But in reality, you put a different caption. And it's like, hey, get out of my conversation starters. And then Puckwudgie shows up in the text. It's not funny explaining it. Actually, it sounds terrible attempting to explain it.
You know, that was just stay with the video.
Yeah, go ahead and watch it. It's funny, I guess.
Killed it for everybody.
I did. But Jimmy, thank you for being here. Puck, obviously, thank you for being here. My favorite friend. Lavera, thank you so much for the super sticker, and Deranged Lunatic as well. I deeply appreciate you guys starting the episode out strong. So thank you so much. Jimmy, we have so much to cover today yet again. Are you ready for this?
So I'm still unpacking.
It's 2 weeks later.
My luggage and my mind. I'm still unpacking. You know what I have not done. What I have that I haven't done yet. I have a suitcase full of souvenirs.
Are any of them like Egyptian chocolate?
I didn't do, but anyway, I haven't unpacked it. I haven't unpacked it. I was in Amman, Jordan. Maybe this is why I haven't unpacked it yet. So I'm in Amman, Jordan, and I get stopped by customs. That's right. Like the real deal. Like suddenly they don't speak English and they're ordering you around, scaring the crap out of you moment. And, gave me one of these. The only English that they spoke was, "Is that your luggage? And may we open it?" Yeah, sure. 45 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And they took out all of my souvenirs and then took my passport and photographed the souvenirs with my passport like 10 times. Brought down supervisors, dudes with guns. I'm like, man, do you do
these souvenirs, Jimmy?
Yeah. Do you do this with everybody that, is a tourist in Egypt? Anyway, so I haven't unpacked that yet. It's still sitting there. It's like this bad this bad moment, and so I'll get to it. But I'm still unpacking my mind. Yeah, I'm still unpacking my mind. So much to discuss. Now, let's see. Love what Jimmy was doing. I would love to be a mystery hunter. Oh, by the way, I now, yes, I have the power, Cristina. I have the power. I can do this. You ready?
I'm ready.
Bam. Look out.
Whoa.
Look out, world. I've got the power. Okay, so last week we did part 1. This week we're going to do part 2. And before I swing this over to Cristina, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you come up with these subjects? Why did you want to cover Egypt?
Well, funny you asked that, sir. I have a co-host by the name of Jimmy Church, and he went to Egypt a few weeks back now. And I thought, you know what? I think it'd be fantastic to, as people say, pick his mind. And now I do not like this term at all. I find it horrible. But I thought, you know what? I think Jimmy might appreciate us going into depth on Egypt and see what he witnessed, what he experienced, who we spoke to, and the decades of research that he's done on Egypt. So last week, we had not enough time to really cover much, so we're doing it again this week, and I'm pretty darn excited to hear what you have in store for us this week.
It's so funny that I've now been put into another class of personalities. Took a phone call today and setting up a conference that I'll be doing next year. And the producer of the conference goes, and so Jimmy, so and so is going to be on the panel, and so are you. And because now we want you to discuss Egypt. And I went, oh, is that what I am now? Am I? It's just so fun. But your insights, and we've been listening to the show, and your pictures, and yeah, it's really a strange feeling. Cristina, I'm just going to say this to everybody last night, and this is not say this to everybody now, because last night I was walking up my stairs and I stopped mid-step, halfway up the stairs, and I went, I just went to Egypt. So, it's like that for me too. It was a very special experience, and I look back and it's just surreal that I was able to do it. Now, today I have put together a series of videos that I have not. Oh, this is your backup. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, so that's going to sit down there, Cristina.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with me, right?
Absolutely not. Nature Cam has now he's able to see, but Nature Cam has a question. It says, did anyone in your group see any UAPs, Jimmy?
Okay. That
great
is
question, and thank you.
That is a great question, and I'm going to blow everybody's mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think I looked into the night sky once. Okay. And that includes the rest. There is so much visually, cinematically, going on all around you that you don't look up. And I really did. I thought I was at the base of the Great Pyramid. What are you supposed at night? What are you supposed to do? Well, you lie down and you just look at the sky. And I had that on my mind. I didn't do it. I was sitting at the base of the Great Pyramid with Shah and another friend of mine, Irina, and she's amazing. It's just three of us, and our security team. Everybody's in the great. It's nighttime. I never looked up. I didn't. I have to admit this now. There was probably I didn't look up. I didn't look up once. I photographed. We're going to see some images at night here, some video, and there were moments. Now check this out. I was standing between the Great Sphinx and the Great Pyramid, and we had the moon to our right, to our left, and the sun to our right at the same time.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. And to be able to do so, I did, and I photographed a bunch of this. The moon and the sun, I don't know what it is, but it's like twice the size of what I'm accustomed to over here in North America. I just don't know why that is. Clearer sky, less pollution, maybe closer to the equator, puts you puts you closer to the. I don't know, but they were always there and present. Just very, very large. So I've got some images of that, and I'll share those with you. Anyway, so I've got 5 videos that haven't been seen, and there's some subjects you want to talk about too as well. I want to swing back to last week because I actually want to show a video here and start off with this. Last week, I talked about the Temple of Isis, which is on an island in the middle of the Nile River. It's called Philae. Some call it Philae. The Egyptians were pronouncing it Philae. So kind of like filet, right? Okay, you could even say it that way. And it's a big island, but the entire island is covered with a temple. And I had a very special spiritual coming together thing that happened on this island. But when I described the island last week and the size of this temple, I don't think people understand. And so I shot this video from the boat as we were cruising past the island, and you just see it, and you're like, wait, what? Right now, I'm going to throw some questions out there, right? Cristina, have you ever heard of Luxor?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Karnak?
Yes.
Have you heard of Dendera?
Yes.
Have you heard of Abados?
Yes.
Have you heard of Edfu?
Barely.
Okay. Right. We're used to these. You've heard of the Temple of Seti the First, right? We know these temples and we have seen them. They're so symbolic of what goes on in Egypt. Have you ever heard of the Temple of Isis?
Yes, by you.
Oh, by me.
Because of you.
That's the wrong answer. Let's rewind.
Back it up.
Okay, let's back it up. Have you ever heard of the Temple of Isis?
No.
Say it like the video. No.
No.
And I played that video 10 times for Billy Carson over breakfast last week. We just laughed forever. Anyway, I had heard of the Temple of Isis. I'd never seen the Temple of Isis. And what I did not know was that it sits on an island in the middle of the Nile River. And we have to take these small boats. It's just like the African Queen, right? Death on the Nile. We take these small boats out. We took 3. We needed 3. We had 80 people. And as we're approaching it, and I see it with the sun, I couldn't wrap my head around the ginormity of what we were seeing. It's just huge. Just like Karnak, just like Luxor, just like Edfu, just like Kamambo, these ginormous sites. That's what the Temple of Isis is. And it sits on this island. And now I had this very spiritual experience. I will come back to that. But before we do, and let me see here, should I mute this or just run the audio? Let me see what it sounds like. Okay, here we go.
Hold on.
No, I've got it. I got control.
Okay. Well, I first off, Deranged Lunatic, thank you so much. It says Jimmy Church, aka Howard Carter.
I'm all about that. I'm all about that right now. I'm all about that. Thank you for that. Okay, here we go.
Thank you. I don't see anything. I don't have anything up.
I haven't hit play yet. So to set this up for everybody, I am at the front. I'm at the bow of the boat. There's a documentary film crew that is filming me filming this. Okay, so I'm at the bow of the boat. There'll be a film that'll come out later, and you'll see me shooting this clip that we're about to see. But this was they were capturing my first impressions. Okay, here we go. How you doing? Yo!
It's amazing.
Amazing. Is that it? Okay. I have another video too as well. So now I'm going. Okay, I'm going to play this back. I'm going to play this back, and now I can talk over it. So and I can pause it. So right here, you can see the entrance, that the same type of entrance that you see in the front of so many other temples. And you can see the doorway there, and you can see the size. You can see a person over here. You can see the size of this. And that's probably, I'm going to guess, 5 stories, 6 stories tall, 50, 60 feet. And as I roll this, the square where the temple courtyard is, you can look through these little windows here, and you can see the pillars on the other side. And there are statues in front of each one of these windows that you see. So when you walk into this courtyard, this wall surrounds this huge courtyard lined with pillars and statues. And when you walk in and you see something like this for the first time, and you are trying to, Cristina, understand how big this really is, you cannot. It's beyond comprehension. The amount of stonework, the carving, the artistry, the hieroglyphics, the symbology, and the meaning. This is the temple for the goddess Isis, and how important it is. And it is huge, and it takes up this entire island. Now, I told this story last week. I'm going to add this back to the stream for a second, and let me back this up. I told this story last week. I'm going to stop it right here, about what happened to me spiritually. I was inside the temple itself that you see here, and towards the back of the front of the island, which is over behind this wall. I don't have a pointer here. Is a little market, a small market where you can just buy stuff and most importantly, water. And so as I was going through all of this, I've got a UPS guy ringing my front door. I walked out of the temple, down across the island, which is big, and went and got water, came back through. Now, in this little gap that you see here, there's a little gap. Look at this gap. I'm going to play this. See that gap between the entrance of the tunnel? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Behind it is another temple. And there it is. You can see it off in the distance. That's got to be 60 feet tall. And it was outside of that temple where I sat down and went and got my head together and dangled my feet off the cliff. And that is where I had this spiritual thing happen. And it started in the temple itself. And as I walked across the island by myself and kind of did this exploring, these, visions is kind of incorrect, but you see it as it was. You don't see it as it is now. And that's and I don't know if something took over my brain, and I don't know. I need somebody to help me understand that. But it was over on the other side of the island is where I had this thing occur. But as I described this last week to everybody, it was at the Temple of Isis. And now you've seen the Temple of Isis. And to understand, once again, this is one of hundreds of temple sites all across Egypt. They are everywhere. They are big. They are important. And we can talk about the size of the Great Pyramid or the size of the Great Sphinx all the time. But I feel that, and this is just one temple site, I feel that the amount of time to build this, it's got to be 20 years. This isn't some, you're not planting roses in the garden, on a weekend. It's just absolutely huge. So that's the Temple of Isis. Did you look into, when I gave you some ideas for today, did you look into the history of the Temple of Isis?
A little bit, not significantly enough to make mention of, but there's a few things I do want to mention before we get started. W. Decker, thank you so much. It says, Cristina and Jimmy, you guys are a great duo, but you're both going to have to up your game to compete with Puck.
I love the way he just was very comfortable. He just sat right there. And is he Velcro? Did you double sticky his butt, or did he just go?
No, he just has a really big flat butt, so it sits nicely on the microphone.
Look at that.
Decker, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I know. I don't know how we're going to compete with him. I really don't. And of course, Tasaka. Good to see you, my friend, it says.
Tasaka.
Hi, Cristina and Jimmy. Glad I could catch your live stream. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I'm going to shift gears. No, this is Mysteries with a History. Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't going to show.
No, I didn't finish my thoughts.
I was going to drop a bomb.
Oh, hold on.
Fly a mission. I was going to just target and drop. Okay, go ahead.
One more thing. We did the super chats. Thank you so much. Michael as well. Really do appreciate it. Says, our thought on the timeline really is off. That's interesting. We're gonna get to that. I started and we're gonna come back to that. But thank you so much for supporting
that down. See, I've got the power.
You got the power. Well, one more thing I do want to mention is the few things that you spoke about before showing your videos, the locations, and including the Temple of Isis as well. On Monday, the Unknown Zone will be about the mysteries of the Sphinx. So I am coming across a lot of these places and their mysteries while getting the show produced. And this week, this Monday, right, was about Machu Picchu, and everyone should check it out. It was really, the information in there is really awesome. But the Unknown Zone has been a really cool turnaround in the sense of practicing narration and then showing video clips with it. But Jimmy, I gotta have the narrating voice like you do. It's like deep and like kind of raspy. And people said that I should just start smoking, and I'm like, maybe not. But
let me pull that down. Sorry about that.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
You're good. So make sure to hit the notification bell, everyone, so that you do not miss this next Unknown Zone about the mysteries of the Sphinx. All right, Jimmy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm going to pop this up here. Logan brings up a great point. The Temple of Isis, you think took 20 years? That's how long it took to build it. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And the point that I'm trying to make, okay, see, I'm getting too trigger happy. The point that I'm trying to make is when you go around, thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
When you go around and you see, you go to Edfu or you go to Karnak or the Temple of Isis and Luxor, and you are so familiar with the dogma that has been fed to us. 20 years, 20,000 people, 20 years, 2.5 million stones. And then you go to Karnak, you go to the Temple of Isis, you go to Kamambo, and everything took 20 years with 20,000 people. They're just huge. They're just ginormous. All right. So thank you for that, Logan Black. And that is my point. Now, All right. I'm going to drop something on everybody that I found out while I was there in Egypt. And it's about Akhenaten.
Oof.
Okay.
Of course, you got to talk about him when you talk about Egypt, and also his very mysterious appearance as well.
Yes, and that's what we're going to discuss now. Of course, he was married to Nefertiti. Apparently, they may have found the tomb of Nefertiti in the Valley of the Kings, and the announcement was supposed to happen by Halloween, by the 31st, officially. Anyway, so putting that to the side, Akhenaten was one of the most important pharaohs. All of the pharaohs were important. Some not so much, some more than others. But Akhenaten, all of these temples that we refer to, and they were all over Egypt. After a certain amount of time, after about 1,000 years, 1,200 years into Egypt, it's a very long time. But a game started to get played. And the priests that were in charge of these temples were on the take. Okay? They're making money. And so they had this racket going. And this was all across Egypt. They had multiple gods, and these priests would have the town, the city, give offerings, money, gold, precious metals, gemstones, food, some cases land, property, and bring it to the temple for the gods, right? It kept the priest fed. It kept the priest rich, right? And powerful. It was a racket. So Akhenaten comes along and says, he upsets, turns over the entire country. He says, no more gods. We're going to have one God, Ra, sun god. All of you priests are right out. Now, you have to think about that for a second. The priests were not happy because they had a good thing going on. Akhenaten came along, and up to that point, Egypt, no wars. They had some security and some semblance of an army, but it was about the arts. It was about the mind. It was about the expansion. It was about education, certainly religion, family, culture, right? Refinement, growth, personal growth. That's what art, right? The arts, music, song. That's what Egypt was all about. And so Ra wanted to keep that tradition going. He didn't like what the priests were doing with the temples and making money off of and getting rich, right? And getting powerful. So he does away with it. One God, Ra, the sun god, right? Okay, so he builds a new capital city out in the middle of the desert for he and Nefertiti, and they were going to move the capital from Memphis. This is all a big deal. Imagine if a president of the United States did that, or a king or whatever today. Well, that's what Akhenaten did. Now, Akhenaten made a lot of people angry. And I think that it was obvious. Now, his children and his dynasty, that part continued. But as far as him and Ra and one God, that wasn't going to last for too long. The priests were too powerful, and they needed to keep the racket going. So the images of Akhenaten have always been strange. And his head was shaped weird. His face was shaped weird. His body was shaped weird. And when we look at these images of him, there have been questions, certainly in our community over the years, about what he looked like and who he was. Could he have been an alien? He kind of looked a little ET-ish. Was there something else about him that wasn't quite right? He had these enormous lips. He had a very exotic looking face and an exotic body. Well, I'm just going to drop this bomb right now. Here is the new museum it's called the Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. Here is the statue of Akhenaten. I'm going to show you his body here in a second. That's about 10 feet in the air. The statue itself is huge. It's cut off at the knees. I would love to have seen the rest of his body. We'll reveal that in a second. But he doesn't look like any other pharaoh in Egypt. And that includes the carvings and the symbology that are on the walls that adorn the temples. He always looked a little bit different. This statue, and you look at this and you're like, man, that's pretty crazy, right? And there's that. Now I'm going to back up. Look at his body. Okay, now, and when we look at this shot here, look at the hips, look at his little belly sticking out.
And keep in mind, for those that aren't familiar with other pharaohs, if you look at other sculptures of literally any other pharaoh, their body is meticulous. It is muscular. It is fit. It is to perfection. Then you have Akhenaten, and he doesn't match any of the previous pharaohs.
Waist, big hips,
weird kind of stomach where like he's not necessarily fat, right? Because the rest of his body is thin, but it's kind of a protruding type stomach, which looks very odd, very out of place. And let's say he was insecure about that, for instance, right?
Let's
say he was, Jimmy. Let's say he was, right? He would tell the sculptors, the people that do the sculpting, I want my body to look perfect. But he didn't say any of that, right?
Nope.
And here's the thing, even his chest,
Cristina,
he looks kind of feminine.
I got to stop you right there. Okay.
He looks kind of feminine.
Okay. Are you ready?
Are
you sitting down? I want everybody to brace themselves for what I'm about to show you. All right. Now, notice his arms are across his chest, right? Okay. He's got a covering. He's got a bikini top on. Okay, now stay with me. You can see part of it right here. There's half of it. This hand, which would be his left arm, is going up and pulling down the bikini top on the other side. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And he is revealing a boob. I want you to take a really close look at what I am showing you there. What is going on? Now, he had children. He was married to Nefertiti. But what is this? Now, and in this shot, which is, just look, he's pulling down, he's showing you his titty, his boob. I'm speaking in very feminine terms right now. That's what's going on. Now, this is straight on. This is a straight on shot. Now let's go to this other shot.
He could have been a hermaphrodite, maybe.
In this shot right here, that's why I blew past this. That's Elizabeth. So Elizabeth and I are looking at this. We're like, what? And now look. Just look at that shot. I'm not saying, right? I am talking about what is represented here in a 10-foot statue. Covered, being revealed. And now, if you weren't told that was Akhenaten, a male pharaoh, and you're looking at this headless sculpture, you're looking at a pretty hot babe, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Everything that is feminine that we understand is here. the hips, the belly, the breast, the arm, the thing, the everything about it is feminine. That's Akhenaten. And then you top it off with that. What's going on? And this is in the Egyptian Museum. Nobody has talked about this.
Okay, well, maybe they got it wrong, Jimmy. Maybe that detached head belonged to a different body, and maybe that body is Nefertiti's. What
No.
evidence is saying otherwise?
No. but I understand, right? Look, I'm standing in front of this statue and I'm taking pictures and something just didn't feel quite right. Now you're looking at the hips and you're looking at the little waist and yes, all right, that's right. It's right there. And I just kept looking. I'm like, what is going on? And they have this whole thing about Akhenaten and his children and dynasty and Ra and Nefertiti. That's all over here, right? Right? It's right here. And you see this, and this is in the Egyptian Museum. It's a brand new museum. And that's when I caught it. I went back and I read there's no notation. Observe what's below his shoulders. No, there's nothing about that. And throughout all of my research on Egypt, and yes, Akhenaten was strange looking. Nobody has ever talked about this.
No, so it really does make you question, does the head and the body match? Because if we look at Nefertiti, for instance, right, there's still speculation that she could have possibly, and we do not know this as fact, but she could have possibly been a pharaoh as well. And if we look at the things that the statue is holding, to my understanding, those are symbols of being a ruler.
Yeah, the hook and flail. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep, so. It is what it is. I'm just telling you, that's Akhenaten showing off his body, all of it. No, I'm serious, and so we're going to move on.
Well, actually, no, I do want to keep talking about Akhenaten. There's something else I do want to mention. But Steve, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It says, I don't know, maybe he liked beer. That's why he has that little pudge of a belly. Could have been. I don't know how it could be the case. But there's one thing I do want to mention regarding Akhenaten's family, very specifically his daughter. And I want to share my screen here. But if we look at the statue of his daughter, she has an elongated head. Keep in mind, in Egypt, the elongating of skulls was not a common practice, how it was in South America. Very specifically South America, right? So this is something that needs to be mentioned. As you can tell, she shares the same features as Akhenaten, the big lips, these kind of long, kind of slit type eyes. But from all of Akhenaten's statues that have been found so far, he's always wearing a hat. You never see the back of his head, actually, at least from the ones that I've seen. But there is a statue of the daughter with an elongated head. Let's say that maybe she traveled to South America, which she probably didn't, but let's say that she did, and she liked this idea of having a elongated head. She could have told the people that do the sculptures, create me like this. But again, this was not a common practice. It wasn't necessarily commonly accepted either. Or she could have been born like this. Is there some type of alien DNA in Akhenaten that passed down over to his daughter?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing with head wrapping, it starts at birth, because that's when the skull is the softest, right? You can't do it when you hit the age of 4 or 5. You can't start there. You got to start literally when the baby comes straight out of the womb. So this is something pretty peculiar, and something that we also need to keep in mind when we talk about Akhenaten is looking at his lineage as well.
I have had all of the same questions that you just stated. There are plenty of wall carvings and artwork of Akhenaten and his family, and they all have very strangely shaped heads. Yeah. There's so much of it out there. But back to your point, if you are an artisan, right, and you're sculpting, and you are sculpting, of all things, a pharaoh who is posing in front of you, right, and you're going to do something accurate, you don't want to be beheaded. You don't want to be imprisoned. You want to get paid. You want to be famous, right? You want to have the pharaoh mention your name. Maybe put, this is my art, hieroglyphics on a tomb wall. You want maybe your own tomb for you and your very special family, right? A celebration of your life. You don't want to goof all that off. You are going to make the pharaoh happy. And that statue was Akhenaten. And the reveal of not only, the nipple, which is there, which I still, Cristina messes with my head, but it's the entire shape and everything else. I think it's accurate, and it was done on purpose, and it wasn't altered. Back to your point, there were probably some pretty misshapen, out of shape, doughy, right? Pharaohs that had themselves muscular, tall, right? Thin heroes. And that's, if you know what I mean. And that's it. That's it's one of my big reveals. I still find it mind blowing, and I can't figure it out. We stood there for a good 15 minutes, just analyzing this and looking at it. How can this be? Okay, so there you go.
It is bizarre and something that I've never heard of before. Lavera brings up a good point, and she said, just like Hatshepsut portraying herself as male.
Correct. So, and she was one of the great pharaohs that caused the country to. It was already a very divine feminine society, but with lots of equal respect for men and women. But she assumed the role. Her husband, the pharaoh, died. They kept it secret. They kept it in the inner circle. They didn't want to upset Egypt or freak anybody out. She wore a fake beard and took over the role. And in doing so, she brought in all of the major reforms. She was a woman, and she made sure that women were equal to men in Egypt. Not only that, she was a pretty badass warrior. She knew how to command armies. She really had. She was an amazing person, as well as a great pharaoh. So, but yes, completely in secret. Could Akhenaten have been a woman? Where does that leave Nefertiti? How are the children born? It raises so many questions. But this statue is what it is.
I mean, it could have also been a hermaphrodite, I think. Maybe Akhenaten could have been that, especially in our community where so many believe that his DNA was mixed with or had alien DNA in it as well. We're not really familiar with the biology of extraterrestrials, at least not publicly. So it could have, and I'm just really thinking outside of the box here. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you, Jimmy, but I think that if anything, something that could be just a tad bit more plausible would be that Akhenaten could have been a hermaphrodite. We do not know, obviously, but also those old cultures, there was a lot of inbreeding as well.
Yeah, that goes with just about.
And so then there could have been also like genetic mutation there, like because it's genetic, right?
I just don't know what to do with this. Like I said, I'm processing, and that was towards the end of this was our last day in Cairo, and we were able to go out and explore and do some things, and we went to the museum. Now, So I'm still processing this. One of the things that we were able to do, now talking about elongated skulls, right? Okay, it wasn't just Akhenaten and Nefertiti and their family. So in the basement of this new museum, and it is beautiful, just opened, they have 22 royal mummies. And you're not allowed to talk. You can't do anything. It's a very solemn thing, and it's the first time they've, the family is brought together. This is, father, son, aunts, and uncles. You got Seti the first, Seti the second. You've got all of there's like 9 Ramses in there, right? Ramses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hatshepsut is in there. A lot of King Tuts. There's a lot of Tuts in there. Anyway, so there's 22. And you are able to, you can't talk, can't take pictures. But the mummies are in these glass cases, and you can go right up on them like this. So to go Ramses the second, right? Seti the first. There, you're right there. And Hatshepsut, by the way, looks like she died yesterday. Her face, just incredible preservation. She's her nose. It's crazy. Anyway,
well, inbreeding was
hold on. So what you are able to do is look at these mummies sideways, and I'm just going to say, I'm going on the record. Their skulls are shaped a little funky. And so right out now, is it as pronounced as Akhenaten and his family, right? The Peruvian? Not quite, but very unnatural. So here, I just happen to have, this is just like a normal shaped human skull, right? We can all agree with that. Right? Even kind of looks like Cristina if you look really close. It's got a Cristina shape. Okay, so see the back? You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're looking at a mummy, you're looking at this, and the neck bones coming out, right? The neck going into the shoulders. This part here, it's like that much bigger. It's sticking out about that much. It's very pronounced. I'm going to take a guess. 8. I mean, it was 8 out of the 22 mummies over and over again. Billy and I, Carson, like, look at this one. Look at this one. We were able to go sideways, and they wouldn't let us talk, and they don't like disrespect down there. And I get that. It's sacred to the country, so you don't want to make a scene. But Billy and I were pointing this out, and we did it mummy after mummy. It's very interesting. So is it natural? Now, you brought up boarding of the skulls, or is this
inbreeding was a really big deal in those ancient cultures because it was so important for them to preserve the purity of the bloodlines that manifested in Egypt, Persia, and Rome. Mm-hmm. And so like weird genetic mutations could have occurred, such as this one.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's have some fun. You want to have some fun?
Okay.
You want to have some fun? Let's have some fun. I've got some stuff here. I want to do Luxor last. We're gonna end on a bang. Okay, we're gonna do Luxor last. I talked about Abados last week.
Yes.
And Abados, amongst other things, it's known for the King's List. It is known for this. I'll just go ahead and bust this out so everybody understands what I am talking about. So let me pull this up, which is the famous hieroglyphics of technology. And it appears to be a helicopter over here, like a tank or a boat or something down here. Some kind of flying craft with a stabilizer. It looks like a flying saucer. I don't know what it is, but those are 50 feet up in the air. So That's Abados, and we are all familiar with that. Okay. But Abados is also known for the King's List and the history of Egypt. And so, and it's represented in a few different spots. It's not in just one location inside of Abados, but I entered in. So I'm going to set this up before I roll this. Let me mute this. There's no reason for me to play the audio here. Okay, so let me back this up. Okay, this is ready to go. The King's List was ordered by the Pharaoh at that time, and this was around 400 BC, around the time Plato visited Egypt. And okay, we want the entire history. We want everything documented. We want it from here. We want to go all the way back to Narmer, to King Narmer, Mene, at 3000 BC. Every family, every dynastic, we want the list put together. We want the history of Egypt. And they did that. So it's in a few different spots inside of Abados. I enter this room, and it's big, and you will see it in just a second. And on the ceiling is a King's List with wives, and there's other cartouches up there, distributed amongst the stars in the heavens. And as I entered this and observed, I stopped. I was by myself, by the way, and I've got to capture this. So I shot a nice long video of the entire room and of the ceiling. And as we go through this, I want you to note that there's a lot of invasions that happened in Egypt. There are a lot of pharaohs that came into power that didn't like what was going on with history, or maybe they had disputes with other pharaohs, or the Greeks had issues with gods, or how things were represented. So they went in and defaced, and I've talked about this a lot of these icons that are all over the walls. Some of the higher ones they couldn't get to, Cristina. It's kind of obvious, like they were in there, somebody standing on their shoulders, as far up as, but if it's 50 feet in the air, some of this stuff didn't get touched, which you will see in this video. The size of this room, I don't know, it's probably 30, 40 feet wide, maybe 60 feet long, and 40, 50 feet tall. It's huge. Check this out. Now, I'm here by myself. Now, see, some of the faces are complete, right? Now, look at the ceiling, look at the cartouches, and look at the stars. That's the history of Egypt on the ceiling. And now over on this other wall, you see the faces are removed. You see? You see that?
Beautiful.
It's beyond. You don't have the right words for the beauty and for what you're seeing. Now I'm going to stop this here. You can see the faces, right? See how they're removed, and in some cases, and you'll see this. I'm going to roll it. They remove their hands, the face and hands. See there, the hands are removed.
Do you have an idea of why the hands were also removed?
Yeah. Again, everybody go do their own. There's so many different reasons for this, and also it's not one invasion. It's not one culture that went in and did this. It was done time after time after time. So they were defaced over time. It wasn't just one thing. So there's different reasons for it. Here, that's the end of the video. Look at the side. This is just one room in Abados. This is just one. All right. And this is just peeking out. I just wanted to grab this real quick to show everybody. You can see the pillars going down. There are, I think at the back of this main room, I think there's four. I think there's four rooms like this. Now, again, now you can see how tall And now that I've described all of this, let's go through this again. Here, the hands are there, the faces are there. There's a Sphinx. Oh. That's one of the most important parts of this. Check this out. On this back wall, let me roll this and then I'm going to pause it. Right there. There's a Sphinx. You see it up against the back wall?
Yeah. Wow.
With the head cut off. They defaced it. Yeah. Don't know. And I looked at that for a while. There's one on the other wall too as well. Unbelievable. And just look at the colors. The colors are everywhere.
Yeah, just there are no words to describe how beautiful it is.
When you see it in person, I did this for your audience. You know, I'm trying to document and capture what I was feeling at that moment to understand its perfection. It is so old. And in most cases, as you look at this and you look at the hieroglyphic, it's like brand new. And it's just unreal. There's the other Sphinx. You see it? Let me back this up just a skosh. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's one on each side, both with the heads removed. Incredible. And that's Abados. And you know what? Now wrap your head around this for a second. That is one room in one temple, of which there are, especially at Abados, dozens and dozens of these. There's dozens. It's everywhere. Of one temple, of which there are hundreds across Egypt. Each one with rooms like this. It's everywhere. This is just one. This is one room that I just happen to walk into and capture. Wrap your head around that. So
I simply can't imagine all of the skilled workers that had to be there working so many hours in the day for so many years, creating hundreds, if not thousands, of temples in Egypt with hundreds of room per temple. Hundreds of rooms.
Yeah. The Temple of Isis, okay, that I showed earlier. So you see the entrance of the temple, and there's that long wall that goes to the front of the island. That's the outside of the courtyard. So you walk into the courtyard, and there, I don't know, I didn't count, but there's probably 30, 40 pillars in a row off to your left. It continues, it wraps around. But anyway, so you just look, and there's a statue, and there's a pillar all the way up. It's got to be 200 yards worth, maybe more, of these pillars. And every single one of them, which is giant, is covered top to bottom with the most amazing artwork. And it's just like, it's one wall in one little tiny slice of Egypt, which this goes on forever. It's everywhere you go. It's incredible. It's enigmatic. You know, it's like an enigma. It's unreal, an unending, never ending, right? Unending enigma, if there is such a thing. I think I just created a term.
I can only imagine how Egyptologists feel, and probably incredibly overwhelmed with everything that they have to look at and decipher the hieroglyphs on what the temple is all about. And as we've mentioned before last week and this week, new stuff is being found every day. And it's been going on for about 100 years, if not a little more than that, where it's been extensive excavations. And we're still getting those. Lavera, thank you so much. It says fun times. Thank you for supporting the channel.
So cool. Okay.
Very cool. I enjoyed that picture in that video very much.
So I want to talk about Luxor. I've got 3 videos, and Luxor is, you go to Egypt. If you can get to Luxor is, it's 500 miles south of Cairo. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump. This is something you have to plan. A trip to Egypt, you can either stay in Cairo and go to Saqqara and visit all of the, the pyramids, the Bent Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, and a Step Pyramid, and the Red Pyramid, all that stuff. You can see all of that and stay in Cairo, right? Giza and everything else. To all the way down the Nile River are these other sites, Luxor being one of them. One of the cool things about Luxor, and then I'm going to turn it over. I want to know what Cristina has learned before I show these videos. Luxor is in the middle of the city of Luxor. All right. Now, if you go to Google Earth and you look at Luxor, right? It's a city. Then take a really close look. Luxor, the temple, is right in the middle of the city. So the temple walls, I shot a video. I don't have it here. I shot a video of the perimeter of Luxor as we drove around it at night. One side, shops, Pizza Huts, hotels, street, wall, Luxor. It's you see this weird thing, go from left to right. It's unreal to see today and yesterday, and you can see it at the same time, and that's what Luxor is about. So,
and everyone loves pizza. You can never go wrong.
It's right there, man. It's a Kentucky Fried Chicken across the street. So,
why not?
Yeah, why not? And here's what's cool about that. Luxor is it's all about daytime and nighttime, and they've got it lit up at night. It's like the place to be. So if you're in Luxor, and it's not just tourists, the people of Luxor, they were having outside of the main gates at Luxor, they had this children's festival for education in schools. It went on forever. So all of the families were out there, and it was acres of kids running around and with their schools represented. It was so cool. But they were also in the temple. And you could see as you're walking around in Luxor, it wasn't a bunch of pasty, Americans like me walking around. You could see it was the people of Luxor too as well. It's just wide open, and there you go. It is the place to hang out. Amazing. So that's Luxor today, and we're going to go through these videos. What's the history of Luxor, Cristina?
First, I want to say thank you, Cam Fuzzy, so much. It says the consistency of their art is amazing to me. It seems to borderline impossible to do by hand. I am with you on that one. And keep in mind that these skilled people are doing this for hours. Hours upon hours, for years upon years.
Years.
Yeah. The fact that it's so beautifully done, it's very meticulous, and if you mess up, you got to start over. There's that fear factor there. I don't know how they've created these things.
You don't want to be the guy making the mistake. Nah, you don't want to mess up. But there were lots of stages to this artwork. So you're going to go and you got to carve the walls, then you got to smooth the walls, and you're going to go and you're going to draw. You're going to have the priests come in. You're going to have the historians come in. You're going to have the architects come in. There are going to be corrections. There's plenty of examples of stuff being corrected in drawings, stuff that didn't get finished. And you can see the drawings there versus the stuff that was almost finished and then back up down the hallway a little bit, completely finished and painted. Right. So there's evidence of this all over Egypt. And you can see how the system of checks and balances that were always in play. So did it ever get to the level of a mistake? By that time, once you're carving and you're going to get to paint and you're going to bring in a pharaoh's body or whatever, finish the temple or the pyramid, whatever it may be, stuff was double checked and triple checked, and there weren't a whole lot of mistakes. And like I said, if you made a mistake, if you messed up, you wouldn't want to be that guy. You wouldn't want to be the son or daughter of that guy either. It's a bad life. Okay.
Well, hold on. I got a few more. Michael, thank you so much as well. It says, how is this possible and what tools were used?
Chicken bones. Yeah, everybody knows that. It was chicken bones. Now, I don't know. There are, I have been to a few museums now that show the tools that were used for these stelas and stone carvings. None of it makes any sense. As a matter of fact, I have seen examples of, I don't have it here today, and I'm looking at the clock. I want to show these videos that of hieroglyphics that are very thin, tiny, and detailed, right? Rows and rows and rows, but they're not carved shallow. They're actually very deep. Right now, how is that done? To have the eye of Horus, right? It's one thing to have it on the surface, but to have that line that is there, 2 inches deep, very thin. How is that done? How is that? How is that?
Obviously,
possible?
with chicken bones.
Yeah, chicken long breastplates. Yeah, I don't know. I assume the Temple of Isis was rebuilt by Romans. You are correct, sir. That is right.
Thank you so much, Steve. And Texas jelly, I do appreciate it. Also, that's a really fun name. I feel like you could just say that all day.
Tejas jelly.
Texas jelly.
Tejas jelly. I wonder what that is. What is Texas jelly?
Maybe Texas jelly can tell us what Texas jelly is.
Salsa. It's salsa. Texas Tejas jelly. It's got to be salsa, right?
Salsa mixed with like honey or something?
Well, that actually sounds pretty good. All right. Let's oh yeah, you cut me off. What's the history of the Temple of Luxor?
Let's bring up the Google. Okay, so Luxor was the ancient city of Thebes, the great capital of Upper Egypt during the New Kingdom, and the glorious city of Amun, later to become the god Amun-Ra. Pretty cool.
That's it? Okay, you just want to jump to the videos? Is that it? Is that
yeah.
That's Gomez's abridged history of Egypt. It was a town on the water. Let's move on.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to Egypt, there is so much information to attempt and retain. And the notes that I have for today's show are actually about mummification and unwrapping parties that hopefully we can just barely touch on. But you, sir, are bringing in the videos and the pictures for today's show.
Okay,
so
check this out. You ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
If this doesn't make you jealous, if you never want to talk to me again, if this doesn't make you Tejas jelly, if you never want to talk to me again after watching this video, I understand, because this is how cool it is. Check it out. Okay.
Luxor, Egypt, forbidden knowledge. Jimmy Church's birthday at night.
Yeah. Does it get any better than that? That was on my birthday, October 10th.
But when you said at night, the only thing that came to my mind was the SpongeBob meme. I'm washing my hands at night, taking out the trash at night. And so, that's what came to mind.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. So now that's with my mug in it. I just wanted to show you, it was my birthday, and that was pretty cool. So, but here's the same shot without my mug.
Okay. Let's take a look.
I'll pause it at the end. Oh, my bad. Okay, I'm going to play it again just because I can. Okay, in the previous video, which I'm going to play,
doesn't get any crazier than this.
Right there. the moon, and look at Venus right above it, lighting up the sky over Luxor. It was so. Look at that. Look at that shot.
Luxor.
I mean, it was just a sight to behold. A perfect night. Now, so what you're looking at there's some tourists. Those are the people of Luxor. And they cranked up the music. They were dancing. Now, here is the crazy part. That is one tiny little section of Luxor. One tiny, you see how big it is. All right, now take another look, folks. Take another look at this. Come on, baby. Play. Stop right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pillars deep, right? You see that? All of this had ceilings and roofs and stuff. See how many pillars? That is, Cristina, that is a ginormous garden area. All of everything that I'm standing on. By the way, where I took the video, I had a security guy with me that let me do this. The pillar was the base of the pillar. It was like 6 feet high, and it was missing. So he hoisted me up there, and I stood in the middle of the pillar. That's why I'm above everybody, and I was able to do this full circular shot. But all of this is stone. Everything is carved. The whole garden, the center, the bottom, and it's huge. You think that's all there is, and that would be enough, right? Let me show you the mysteries of Egypt. This next video that I am going to show you, I can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. You're just going to have to watch this. I walk through Luxor to the obelisk outside. All right? You ready?
I'm ready.
I try to capture the size of everything. Everything is just above you. Let me turn this down. So this is another. Okay, now you can see the statues that are surrounding me here. And I'm going to pause it right here. Those, I don't know, 30, 40 feet tall, right? That's a great distance off. Look behind them. You can see the temple continuing. It just continues in both directions. I'm just walking through. Let's go.
And those sculptures, are they all previous pharaohs? Do you know the significance? Okay.
Yes. Some cases, architects, engineers, priests, wives, right? Not everybody's a pharaoh. Now, here, I'm in another garden area. I've left the other one. It's way behind me. Now I'm in another one. I'm not taking the time to, as you can see, there are rooms, there are temple rooms, there are all over the place. I'm just walking through. All of this had a roof. You can see it, right? You can see these sections of the roof.
I mean, it is so tall.
It's so tall, and it's in both directions. It's like endless. It just keeps going to the left and to your right. But again, I wanted to stop this pillar as I walk past it. Just take note, this is 30, 40 feet tall. It's one of, I don't know how many hundreds of pillars are in Luxor because they're everywhere. I'm just walking past a couple here. Now, look at this. Do you see how it continues?
Mm-hmm.
Just up and up and up and up and up and up.
It really did stand to the test of time, and it's
incredible.
Magnificent.
It's incredible. And I keep going back to, this is the side of, you can see it's been defaced. That's a leg. Okay, now look. Check it out. And that's one piece of red granite. And it's just everything is just huge and beautiful. Now, as I walk back, this is the entrance. I walk back through here, and I'm talking some major smack. We don't know nothing. But I want you to look behind me, and this is what is one of the best moments that I've captured in the trip there. But now you can start to see the size of everything. And I keep going back to the point, Cristina, when we're talking about mysteries with the history, we can talk about, Giza and the Great Sphinx and things. Get out and go and see the entire country. A temple like this wasn't built overnight. I really feel that. Just look at this. Look, it's
beautiful.
It's beautiful, and that's just the entrance. And there you have it. So the time that it took to build the Great Pyramid, going back to Logan Black's comment from the beginning of the show, once you go, is Luxor the proverbial crazy town, Jimmy? Brian, I hope one day you can go and experience and answer that question for yourself. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And
thank you so much, Brian.
The amount of time that it took, I can see up Jimmy's nose. Werewolf Jeebus. Is that your God-given name? Why? I would never name my kid Jeebus. Is this, Cristina, 20 years to build Luxor? No, man. I'm 50. I can go with that. I'd be very comfortable in 50, 100 years. And it's just one site. It's just one site. It's one site. You go to Kamambo, Edfu, Karnak. Karnak is officially, acreage-wise, the biggest temple complex in all of Egypt. It's like the size of Indiana. It's like crazy, man. You look around, and I might have here. You just stay right there. Let me lay this out for you guys just a little bit. All right, let me bust out this picture. All right, let me share this screen, and then I'll leave you guys with this. This from where I am standing, this is the dismantled side of Karnak. It goes, and you can see my pointer, it goes from where my feet are, acres and acres and acres and acres and acres off into the distance. It's as far as the eye can see. It's as far as you can see. It's nothing but this. This is the Romans, the Greeks came in and tore one of the walls down to the temple. That's one of the great entrances. They tore this down, right? All of the walls around it, everything that you see, everything is torn down. Every one of these stones is from a temple wall. Each one of them is marked with a number. You can see it right there. Nobody knows how to put all of this together. There's another number that they've tagged this stone with, of which there are tens of thousands of these. Now, watch this. You ready? That's one direction. This is another direction. That's another direction. It just continues on. It's forever. This is not the wall that you saw earlier. That's another part of the temple complex. See that back there? See this over here? You see this? It is mind-blowingly big. And here's the deal. That's not the temple. That's the temple grounds. That was a temple at one time. The Karnak that is assembled is behind me. And it's huge. There's more pillars there than there. Room after room, garden after garden, wall after doorway, carvings. It's incredible. It's unbelievable to see and to witness. And that is the assembled part. And then you walk out back and you see this, and it goes on forever. This is not 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Cristina, take over the show.
It's a kind of depressing, actually, to see all the stones like that.
I've got somebody that needs my signature. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. NeuroStream, we will get to answering your question when Jimmy gets back, but I will read it out loud, and thank you so much for supporting the channel. It says, which ancient Egyptian site would you choose to spend the most time at if you had free reign all alone for as long as you wanted to focus your exploration? How long could you spend studying one site? So awesome. I think for myself in particular, the Sphinx would be amazing. And a big reason to that is because I am creating a new show for Monday for the Unknown Zone, which is going to be about the mysteries of the Sphinx. So I would definitely love to go there and spend hours, days, weeks looking at it. It's believed that there are some hidden rooms and hidden chambers in there, but it's for the most part not publicly accessible. But then also, if I could go back in time and go to the Library of Alexandria, I would. There would be no question there, because allegedly it was believed that the books about Atlantis were in that library, and then Plato took those and created his stories about Atlantis. So I would love to go back in time and go to the library if I could literally read the languages it was written in. But Jimmy, what about yourself? If you can go to one Egyptian site and just spend as much time as you wanted alone, you had free reign, where would you go?
Dendera. Well, no, kind of a tie. The Serapeum is pretty insane as well. And but Dendera, just from the symbology, the vibe there, it's very spiritual. It's very the thing about Dendera, you are forced into personal insight. You're forced into, you cannot, that's it. So you're going to go there, Cristina, or NeuroStream. You're going to go there. You're going to walk in one person, and you are going to leave being somebody else. And you don't have a choice.
I think that goes for anywhere that you travel. That's aside from your home, right? You endure new experiences that are going to shape you and your personality and your view on life as well. But yes, with Egypt, it is a little bit different. There is so much history to it. You had a spiritual experience as well. So yeah, it's gonna change you for life. Lavera says, I definitely appreciate the videos, Jimmy and Christina's unending research. Thank you so much for that.
Will there be a part 3? I have got I can go through my my clips here, and I'm just clicking through, right? I
Well,
could do
what I'll go ahead and do is I'll create a poll to see if you, the viewers and listeners, want a Mysteries of Egypt Part 3. And by the end of today's show, we will have that answer, Jimmy, if we're going to do a Part 3 or not.
I have no issues. I have no issue. It's
There's so much to it.
There, if we could do one show on Kamambo. We could do an entire show on Edfu, an entire show on Aswan. We could do an entire show on the Temple of Isis. I've got 50, 60, 70, 80 pictures and video of every single site. It's endless and absolutely. When you think about anybody that has, Stephen Mailer, or I could just, Billy Carson, for example, William Henry, right? Graham Hancock, Robert Schoch, who have been to Egypt so many times. You can talk to them about it forever. You just pick a site, and historically they can lay it all out for you, and you can spend. I am now able to do that. Yeah. So I have no issues. Everybody, if you're enjoying it, yeah. I'm your guy.
In the comments, people are definitely for it. Well, you have just a few minutes to answer this poll before we end today's show. So, yes or no? Do you want a Part 3 or not? Jimmy, as I had mentioned, we only have a few minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you really want to touch on before we end today's show?
Yes. I want to drive something home to everybody. I love the United States. I do love this country. But Egypt has had 5,000 years to get it right. And the people there are so beautiful and so grounded, and they get it. They just seem to have it figured out. And I know that one day we will, and it's going to be 5,000 years from now, but we're going to be able to walk around with smiles on our faces and just love life and appreciate others. And we're going to get there, right? And we have Egypt to show us that it can be done. Egypt isn't the only culture in the world that's got it figured out, but they definitely do, and we can go there and visit. We have so much to learn, so much. And as a visitor to the country, you get that perspective. You get off a plane, a few hours before you're in New York, you're in Miami, you're in Kansas, right? And then you arrive in Egypt, and you get the immediate black and white, right? You get it. You get the comparison. I invite everybody to be able to do that, and then you get to come back to the United States and know that we've got some work to do, but it's possible. And so I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. Jessica says, yes, definitely do a show on each site as we can get the information and pictures of the site. Please. That's a great idea, Jimmy. And the poll, not everyone, but a lot of people that have been watching today's show, 98% said yes. So, Jimmy, what does that mean? You, me, and Puck are going to do the Mysteries of Egypt Part 3.
All right. I'll put some special stuff together. I've got a lot of it, and I'll see you guys next week, and then I'll see everybody tonight in a few hours. It's Fader Nights. It's open lines all night long. Cristina, thanks for having me. Everybody behave and be well. I'll see you soon.
Bye, Jimmy. What a show. These are so much fun. And the big reason to that is the reason to why these Mysteries with a History are so different than previous shows is because Jimmy is talking from experience. He is bringing in his pictures, his videos, his sightings, his people that he spoke to. And that's it makes it feel more close to home than just bringing in the facts, which I love doing, don't get me wrong. But with this show in particular, I think it's very interesting to hear what Jimmy has to say. And you guys are enjoying it so much that we are doing a part 3. James Fox on Tuesday, shifting the paradigm. He dropped some bombshells when I was interviewing him about his newest documentary, Moment of Contact. So you don't want to miss that one. It's a really fantastic interview. A lot of things that he has not said before. Then on Friday, tomorrow, is Strange Weekly News, where I cover all the news from around the world. Strange, mysterious, fringe, all of the above will be covered tomorrow. So make sure to hit the notification bell so you do not miss any videos. Next Monday is going to be the Mysteries of Egypt for the Unknown Zone. I think it's very appropriate for this few weeks of the Mysteries of Egypt, right? So please make sure to share these videos with others and on social media. Okay, I want to wish you all a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Puck will see you tomorrow as well. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.